and they could not get it that night.
Mm.
They couldn't get a vote on it. And so pretty much, even though Dave Wilson brought it up a couple of council sessions ago, questioning where was the Brant Pike revitalization project at? What was the city going to be doing with it? And it did stall. I'm not saying that it's that any one particular person, but I am saying it did stall. And I think that's part of the problem that a good percentage of our citizens have with our city right now is, we've done some great development north of 70. But while we were focusing on that as a city, the southern part of the city seemed to be neglected.
Mm-hmm.
It's long overdue that attention be put to the area south of 70. And a lot of people are sitting there saying, well, it's not my neighborhood. Well, it may not be your neighborhood today, but in 5 years, it will be. And if you're north of 70, you're still part of Huber Heights.
Right.
And as property values and empty commercial real estate spreads south of 70, it will eventually spread north of 70, and it will affect those people. So we're doing no one a favor by ignoring a certain area of the city. I was speaking to a real estate agent, not in our area, someone from my home state, and I was describing what was happening, and this was some time ago. I was describing what was happening in Ward 5. And they said, Linda, you need to read about the Detroit syndrome. I can't say, I had no idea what that was. And I was researching the Detroit syndrome, and some of it is very applicable to Huber Heights and to Ward 5, and some of it maybe not so. But two words stood out that just is my battle cry, and that is accepted decline. People have begun to accept the decline of the south end of Huber Heights. I do not accept that. We can revitalize Brant Pike, the south end, but it takes some out-of-the-box thinking. It's going to take some fresh ideas, people who are not tied into anything or even each other, that are willing to put their heads together and say, how do we turn this around? Who can we bring in that? And I'm not talking about more surveys, but there are people who are willing to come in and help areas turn around. And that's what we need. We need to quit the division. And I'm sorry, but in my case, I believe fresh people with fresh ideas, with ideas from outside of Huber Heights, with work experience outside of Huber Heights, that are willing to get up there and expose ourselves to, trust me, all of the things that politicians are exposed to, just to try to make a change in our city, to try to turn things around in our city. It's a great city and great people, but we need some people ready to roll up their sleeves and put pride and whatever else aside and look for solutions for Huber Heights. We've got a lot of great things. Ward 5, I'm telling you what, a Midwestern. There's absolutely nothing better than a Midwestern. 3 bedrooms, you can have, there have been times when we've had people living with us, and you'd be surprised the number of people we managed to fit in a Midwestern. And now it's back to my husband and myself. The lawn is perfect, even though he decided he needed a riding lawnmower. Takes a pretty zero turn to work, but okay. But, we can age in our home with no problem. It's one level. The lawn's reasonable. We're a close-knit neighborhood. I mean, when the lady next door, after her husband passed and her children did not live in the neighborhood, we watched out for her. Her kids brought us keys to her house and said, if we need you to look in on Mom, would you look in on Mom? We started shoveling our sidewalk for her. And, this is the community that we have down there.
Right.
Who wouldn't want to live there? So we just need to bring in some fresh ideas, find what will work so that other people will find out how great our neighborhood is.
Mm-hmm.
The house next door to us, the gentleman died. It went into probate. A man and his sons came in and completely gutted it and redid it. And it was bought by a young military man. And I was talking to him, and I was talking to him about property values. And he says, I'm not going to sell my house. And I said, well, at your age, you realize you cannot get promoted sitting in this at Wright Pat. As an officer, you're going to have to move to be able to have those promotions. He says, oh, yeah, but I'm not going to sell my house. He says, I love this place. I'm coming back here.
Nice.
This is where I'm going to die.
Nice.
Now, what more could you ask for?
Right.
And if I sound like I've got a set of pom-poms here, I just believe that strongly in Ward 5 and in Huber Heights.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need a change. I think we need fresh blood. I think we need to break up some of the bad relationships and get people in who are willing to work together instead of against each other.
Yes.
To get things moving. Because right now we can't move anywhere because we have 2 sides, 3 sides. I'm not even sure some days how many sides that we have.
I don't mean to laugh. I really don't, but it is. Sorry.
And it's like a hula hoop with all these different ropes coming from it, and everybody's pulling on these ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And the hula hoop pretty much stays in the same place.
Right.
And it's getting bent a little. We just need to let go of all the different ropes and start pulling in one direction to get Huber Heights moving forward. And I think myself and some other people that are fresh blood on the council will be the way to get it moving in the right direction.
Good deal. The last question I have for you, like I said before, today's the 19th of September. Tonight they're going to have a work session there in Huber Heights. The mayor is putting on it's item number it's item N. Let's see here. He's requesting to look at the voting process about absentees, recusals, and abstentions and things like that. How do you see that? I think part of what came up is there's been a couple of people at the last council meeting. There was a vote for the golf carts, and there were a few absences. So, and it ended up failing 4-2. I think is the number. Don't quote me on that, but I'm going on
that
memory.
Is correct. It failed 4-2, and you needed 5 for it to pass. But with 2 people absent, the 2 no votes were able to kill that.
Right, which in my opinion is kind of crappy. But where do you stand on that? He's going to bring this up tonight. The discussion hasn't happened, but I wanted to give you a chance to explain how you would view it.
Well, I think everyone has a life, and you are entitled to, I don't know of many people who are at work every time the door is open at their place of employment.
Mm-hmm.
And so council members, they have work sessions and they have council sessions, and some of them set or at least attend some of the boards and commission meetings. For something that is part-time, there's a lot of hours required for for city council.
Yeah, there is.
But I do believe that it is very possible to manipulate a vote by being absent. By you not being there, then you only need a couple of people to vote against something, and they don't have the 5 necessary for it to pass. I do think that there needs to be, I think it needs to be looked at. If we have, I know blue flu refers to your
Mm-hmm.
safety people, but if you have people who are coming up with a reason not to be there, and I do know that I sat there and I heard, I could be wrong, so I believe it was over the city manager residency, and they said there should not be a vote until everyone is here.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, everyone has not been there to vote when it was brought up since that. So, I think that there needs to be something put in place that if it's that important, you either can ask your colleagues to not put it on for a vote until you can be there, or there has to be something put in place that you not being there represents either a yes or a no. Because otherwise people can stall out things just by not attending. And I also think, there anything can be abused. Anybody can say you're not there for one reason or another. So I think that parameters and absences should be established. Because if you're going to, you're never going to completely eliminate all the ways that someone can manipulate something, but you can put enough roadblocks in the way that it makes it a little harder.
Yeah.
And we should be moving forward. And if we're representing the people and not our own agendas, because I don't intend to run my own agenda. I don't have an agenda other than I want to see Ward 5 flourish. I want to see the city flourish. So if I'm not running my own agenda, I'll want to be there. I'll want to be voicing what Ward 5 wants. And my colleagues should be wanting the same things for their wards or for the city. And again, I would love to see the division and some of the flat-out adversarial relationships that are existing today. Relationships can be turned around, and they need to be turned around, and we need to be working together. And that would probably be my biggest concern, is it takes more than, one person cannot have a relationship. It's going to take others wanting that same thing.
Right. That's true. I agree with you there. You got to have all sides working together in order to make it work for the people of Huber Heights. That's about all the questions I have for you today. Is there anything you want to tell the folks listening before we end the podcast?
Love your city. Love your city enough to get out and vote. If you want to find out about me, I'm willing to sit down and talk with anyone. They just need to contact me. My website, I have someone who's going to try to fix what I managed to do because there's very little there. But there is, even though there was a whole lot more that was supposed to be there, but there is a way to email me on my website. It is Morin, MORIN, the number 4, HuberHeights.com. And there is a contact me link there, and fill it out. It will come to my email, and that is, if you want to go directly, it's Linda, LINDA, Morin, MORIN, HH @gmail.com. I'll be glad to sit down with anyone, let them get to know me,